Welcome everybody. This is our Lakes Environmental webinar on AQMIS. I would like to thank you for attending this, which we believe it to be a very important presentation on a tool that we call the Holy Grail of Air Quality Management System. The system will be presented today, but before we proceed, we would like to give you an overview of the entire system, such that when we present modules, you don't get lost in the presentation. So once we finish the overview, we will have a live demo. The live demo will present the modules. We're only presenting air modules at this time. Completing the live demo, we'll have a question and answer. We'll instruct you how to submit your questions to us. And we finish that, we will have a poll. Because there are many modules in this package, we want to make sure that we have a better understanding which ones you would like to see a webinar where we will present more details. Starting the overview. This system, as I said, is fully integrated. Every single module can operate independently or it can operate integrated. And it's fully integrated where we start with the emissions inventory. So we know what are the impacts. Emissions inventory is a very extensive package, and it will compute emissions from over 10,500 different processes that emit to the atmosphere. Once we have that, we can pass this information to their dispersion modeling. Just by pressing one button, we can say what is the source we want. We want to process one chemical, all the chemicals, or we can have thousands of sources being modeled simultaneously. From their dispersion model, we can compare the results with ambient monitoring stations. We can handle a single monitoring station, or we can support 1,000 of them. We can go as far as conduct automated comparisons between the dispersion model and the concentrations at the monitoring stations. This way, we have knowledge, for example, if the emissions inventory is off by too much or too little. Completing that, let's proceed to the risk assessment. The risk assessment is an important tool employed by, example, the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency use a system that we have for over 10 years. And they can compute, and we run this for them, over 200,000 sources simultaneously. These sources are then producing concentrations, and they also produce human health risk assessment. You can conduct that risk assessment because it goes to deposition to soils, direct inhalation, from soil to plants, from plants to animals. We eat chicken, eggs, beef, and milk, and we get contaminated. You may think that's not very important, but dioxin in furans, just as an example, can be 1,000 times worse through indirect inhalation than through direct inhalation. Risk assessment then is followed by permitting. You can do permitting as a company where you prepare all your documentation automated by AQMIS, or you can be a regulatory agency receiving applications for permit, receiving information from emissions inventory, receiving information from dispersion modeling, all through a portal. Then we go to enforcement. This is for regulatory agency, controls who is doing what needs to be supervised or not, what passes, what not. And then the reporting. The reporting can be done just by printing reports, or it can automate the process of packaging the information, submitting to the US EPA, automating the information, submitting to California, for example, or other regulatory agencies. We have those examples already working. The benefits, it's many. Package provide immense amount of benefits, but I will highlight just these three that I am showing in the slide. Regulatory agencies, they can maximize annual budget with automation. Consultants that have worked with us, we provide IT solutions. The consultants then provide consulting work. When we go together, they become the preferred consultant for this type of service. And for over 10 years in work that we have done in many locations, the consultants have been the same, have been reselected year after year. For facilities, there's immense cost reduction and immense reduction in red tape. We reduce headaches all over the place for facilities. We have a modular architecture, as I highlighted. You can see here, start with emissions inventory, air dispersion modeling, risk and exposure modeling, ambient monitor stations, enormous amount of them. Goes the monitor station and the meteorological stations, reporting, complete mapping system, air quality indexes, and the forecasting. The dashboard is a very important tool. It serves both the management and engineers analyzing situations. Management can see trends, can immediately determine how things are progressing. Engineers in facilities and regulators in regulatory agencies, they can see where problems are happening, where are the biggest impactor for certain regions. So we have various types of dashboard, which we will see in the live demo. The emissions inventory module is a very complete package. We can calculate point, area sources, storage tanks, mobile sources on road and on-road for over 10,500 processes that emit to the atmosphere. I like to say that it goes from frying hamburgers to the complex operations for every single point of emission in an oil refinery, as an example. You can also customize your own calculators. You can change your own emissions factors. As an example, a single client of ours, we customize for them over 500 different calculation methods for this regulatory agency. Emissions calculators, they validate, they can update. It's not just yearly. We can read the continuum emissions monitoring system. It is also integrated with every single other package. In the air dispersion modeling area, once we have the emissions inventory, we have the locations for the sources, how they emit, etc. We can set up all the things you need for the models. For the large modeling runs, we use AirMod because it will run much faster than any other model. It's a good model, but we can also run CalPath, Chem, the German Austal, and we can also run photochemical models. As you can see here, we can enter buildings, analyze points of maximum impact, generate the plot. On the forecasting side, we have packages to estimate what will happen in the next 24 hours and 48 hours. I like to give this example of one of our clients that is operating the system. They used to have impacts where it would hit villages with a monitor, and if it exceeded regulatory limits, they would have to shut down the operation. That shutdown would cost them $10 million per shutdown. They were having 4 shutdowns per year. That accounts for, on average, $40 million. They're operating the system, which is not crashing or giving any surprises, for over 10 years, for a total of $400 million in savings. The module with the monitoring station, it is more extensive than the regular one just to see the graph. We couple that with the emissions inventory, with the dispersion model, and we can even come for each one of these ambient monitoring stations and do a complete human health risk assessment with the chemicals they are measuring at that monitoring station. As you can see here, this is not a wind road, this is a pollution road with the station at the center. We can see here that most of the impacts are coming from the west. On this plot here, we can see over time that concentrations on the monitor point is going up and down like this, and there is a red line over here, and that is the maximum threshold level for that site, and it's spiking up tremendously very frequently. The human health risk assessment, it is a complete package, multi-pathway, multi-chemical, multi-source, and it can be used over an entire state in the United States or over an entire country as we have run in the past. A system like this is similar to the one that we run at the MPCA. We also ran this for the New Jersey, for all the sources with all the refineries for their effort in environmental justice. It will compute short-term acute health effects, long-term cancer and non-cancer problems, and it is ideal for programs that prioritize things such as the California AB 617. The GIS mapping, the complete package. You can see here each one of these red points is a point of emission, and we will have our live demo where we'll show this. We can show with maps that are easy to see with names of streets and sites. We can also have satellite photographs, concentration impact plots, jurisdiction such as counties, and it's very good to analyze your data and your results. On the permitting and compliance, it serves both facilities and agencies. For the facilities, they can prepare all the documentation and electronically submit. For the agencies, they have a portal that can receive all that and do all the processing. And it accelerates for both facility and regulatory agencies. Regulatory agencies can also package this and submit, for example, to EPA. The reports, we have hundreds of reports, but it would be impossible to satisfy every single need. So you can also create and modify your own reports. And these reports can be exported to HTML, to Word, Excel, CSV, tons of formats that you can use to collate results. We're now ready for our live demo. I will stop the PowerPoint. I will move to the website where we are running in real time here the demo. So minimize this, maximize this, and we have here the application. I will do the FN F11. Let me just do something here to also increase the size. We have then, this is the main dashboard. If I go down in the main dashboard, you can see some plots. We imported all the emissions for 2011. We can do other years, it's no problem, for the state of Texas. And you can see here that this emissions inventory does not have CO2, it's not a problem. And we have here for NOx, we have the 10 highest ones, and we have others which are the other, but they do not allow me to compare the other highest concentration. So I can turn off any one of these. Let's turn off others. And you can see that I can compare now, and I can have the names of the counties over here and do the evaluation. I can also go to the facility dashboard and select any facility I want. I'm selecting this one right now. And I have a complete description, including geographical location, which I can zoom out if it's not very clear to me where it's located. Now I can see a main road. I have an idea where it's located. You can see here the inventory we're showing to use only air. Could have water and solid waste, the pollutant, a series of other information here on the release points, emissions periods, emissions control processes, etc. I have an emissions dashboard, which you can see how much is being emitted, air dispersion modeling dashboard, and in this case here, we ran the location, and you can see the results here of this contour plots. We only ran carbon monoxide, just for the example. I can zoom out here as well. We have the AQMIS dashboard, and I'm using 2 of the monitor stations from Texas. I have them here, all the results. This is a wind rose. You can see that most of the wind is coming from the southeast. Saw the one as well, but I can also have a pollution rose. The interesting thing here is that these 2 monitor stations were well sited. You can see they put it where it's downwind from the main polluters. Because we could have polluters over here as well, and this would not look just like the wind rose as this one does. You can also plot other pollutants measured by this station. This is just a dashboard. We'll have more to analyze here. We have other dashboards, but to save time, I will move on to the emissions. And we have facilities and point sources, source configuration, release points. We have calculators, I have storage tanks, and the list goes on and on, emissions control. We do not have time to present every single module here. That's why we will have a poll at the end, such that you can vote to get a 30-minute like this presentation on each one of the topics. Here is the ambient monitor stations, which is a combination of ambient monitor stations and meteorological stations. We combine both. Analyze sites, graphs. We also do automatic comparison between modeled from the dispersion model and the monitor, so we see how it's happening and evaluate if the emissions inventory holds water or not. We have the air dispersion model. In this case here, we're using air mod, but as I said, we do not have a restriction on the dispersion model we use. For large sites simulating 200,000 sources simultaneous like MPCA, it is important to use air mod because they will run in a sufficiently reasonable time. But we can use CalPath, SkiPath, SkiCam, Austal, photochemical models, it doesn't matter. So we have many different tools, including the buildings, and the receptors can be placed automatically over the site, and we can do all those analysis. On the risk side, we have a vast amount of analysis for all we need to do. And for you to have an idea, there is a site that employs this system from a regulatory agency. After we ran all this, they modify where to put the monitor stations, re-sited the stations, and the concentrations all of a sudden were twice as high as they were measuring before. So siting is one of the things you get as a benefit from this. Permitting module, compliance, the ticketing to assure that, let's say in a regulatory agency, who is handle what stage the handling of the permit is, and so on and so forth. And we go to the map. The map is a full operational map. We have here, we're displaying here facilities. This is a facility. If I click here and say details, It will go to this facility, give me all the details. I won't do this right now. I can select what I display. If I say, give me all the release points in the inventory, and I can do the entire Texas here as well. If I zoom out more, then you will see Texas is such a powerful state that facilities almost define the boundary of the state. I can come here and say I did dispersion model. Let me present this one here. It will zoom to the location and show where I did dispersion model. And I can have every single point modeled in the state of Texas. It's not a limitation. I'm just giving a simple example here. So let me close this. I can use Lake Satellite. I will repeat this. We don't own the satellites, but as Google also doesn't own the satellite, they buy the satellite data and they display as Google Maps or Google Satellite Maps. We're displaying at Lake Satellite, so you know it's satellite. This is good for a final report, but when you are modeling or analyzing data, it's too dark and we cannot see contrast, so we usually use the OpenStreetMap. And this is it for the map. And go to the report. In the reports, let me show one of the reports. There are many reports here. And let's select then something that everybody used to, like SO2. I'll go to next, and I'll select everybody, but I will not select annual. Select monthly, such that I can see bar charts for the month. I can quickly, let me select this one here, select any one of them, and I can quickly see how it is the emissions are month by month from this facility. I'll just display the other types of maps. Each one of these is a different type of report. These reports, as I indicated, can be exported to CSV, PDF, Excel, Word, TIFF, etc. We also have settings, and these are mainly for controlling user access. These are for administrator of systems. I will just go over very quickly. I can manage user rights, because some users can see just some screens, not all of them. Some users can see everything. Only a few users can see and modify data, and the list of access rights is very fine-grained. Going back here to the dashboard, and I will stop here. We need to go and analyze the poll. I am going to prepare this and work with this. The poll will show on your screen, and I will launch. I hope you see that. I think those that voted. So I will close the poll. You'll be able to see the poll. I have to hide so I can present the rest. Emissions inventory 55%. Dispersion modeling 55% of the module, and the other ones are 32 and 24. So we know which one we'll present first, second, third, and fourth in the next webinars. So I'll stop this. I will present to you here back to the questions, because we do not have yet a mechanism. I know you want to ask questions. Please email them to AQMIS. If you could do it in the today or tomorrow, the next 24 hours, such that we can prepare all the questions and all the answers and provide to everybody that attended this webinar. Also, if you have further questions, feel free to contact Brian Matthews, head of this effort with AQMIS, located in Dallas, Texas, and our office there. He's the boss of the USA operations. So I'd like to thank all of you for attending. I must say that I am very honored and feel it is a privilege to have so many people attending this workshop. And I hope to be able to meet each one of you personally and talk about this. Thank you very much.